Hey guys!
Hello! We've talked about this a little bit in a blog post, and also if you were part of our album launch, we talked about this during the My Affliction Day. But there's a bit more to the story about the inspiration for our Bloom album art. We want to share in more detail about our journey to
design to make music.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we quit our jobs, as we've kind of talked about, and pursued self-employment through hairdressing, which she kind of already was, and then myself as a graphic designer. I worked in agencies before that, but I wanted to take a shot at graphic design as well as have more time to work on a side project. We decided to start with, I guess, like we wanted to do like fashion photography for ourselves. And
actually, it wasn't quite that simple. We had sat down and we had gone through business course, which we had mentioned before, and the business course, part of figuring out what to do was to sit down and talk about some things that, you know, either you're interested in or that you're good at. Well, we've always been into fashion.
As you can tell.
No, we don't like dressing up.
We don't dress
like, you know.
Yeah.
So we knew that starting a clothing fashion line from scratch was going to be a huge endeavor, and so opposed to doing that, we decided, well, we thought, you know, accessories and things like that are also a part of fashion, but it was a lot more accessible than starting from nothing, making a clothing brand.
Yeah, and even before that, we even had started just with our actual current Stands on Sapphires Instagram account. We actually started that as a fashion account, with like us doing modeling shots of like all of our different outfits, because, you know, all of our friends told us we had the coolest clothes, so we thought that was cool. We should start with that, see if people are interested in kind of our style, what we wear. So we would do that, and then we wanted to turn that into some kind of a product. So we were just brainstorming something in the realm of accessories, like Beth said, because it is easier, it's cheaper. Obviously, custom designing your own clothes and then getting them made is very difficult. And we stumbled upon the idea of doing kind of like a punk rock, kind of like alt rock accessory subscription box service, since that kind of seemed to be all the rage at the time. People loved their subscription boxes once a month, and we thought that may be kind of cool. So we actually designed, we had the boxes right here. So we designed a men's and a women's one. Does the design look kind of familiar?
Maybe the floral and all that.
To our album. So to kind of tie that together, this did not go well.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of followers. Like we had at least like 800 followers or something.
Yeah, we had close to 1,000 followers.
And we had way more people on our email list for that than we do right now.
Yeah.
And we put all this work. We designed these boxes. Beth sourced like a ton of accessories through like wholesale. We wholesale purchased a lot of accessories, and we put it out there because people were like, "Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. I would totally buy that." And
no one bought it.
For like 2 months, we like tried to keep going, and I mean, I know 2 months is not a super long time in the entrepreneurial world. People would probably call us babies for quitting so soon. But it was just like the fact that there were crickets. No one was saying anything. It was like a pretty clear sign that, like, okay, let's reverse this. We even tried to kind of reverse all the work we did and make like a drop shipping accessory website too.
Right, where you just buy like one necklace, one bracelet.
All the accessories you source, we drop ship them instead of stock them ourselves.
Right.
And you could just pick individual necklaces or rings or whatever. And we got like one sale on that too, right? So we were just like beating our heads against the wall. We bought another business course on like to start kind of like a knowledge-based product, which is more like an online how-to sort of thing. And he kind of taught us, like, you know, the whole thing is you're probably an expert in a field you don't even know you are, that, you know, you probably know more about a certain thing than a lot of other people do. So our idea was, okay, well, let's turn fashion to that. Let's maybe start like a consultation business, teach people how to dress funkier, get away from the standard, to teach people to be more comfortable enough to dress how they actually want to dress. Right. And we actually had some really good response when we were doing some like research and stuff, but it was around that time that we were freaking miserable.
Yeah.
Like we were hating it. Every day was a chore.
Yeah.
We were only doing it with the hopes of potentially making money Like that was honestly the truth, and that's not any good reason to do anything.
No.
So we gave it all up, and I remember there was one day when we were just on a long walk and we were talking about it, and we were just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like fashion's cool, and we kind of decided we like our own personal style, but like we're not passionate about helping others find their own personal style unless it like that matched with like ours, because we're just not, the only kind of clothing we're into is our kind of clothing.
Right. We realized we're dressed unique, and most people don't dress like how we dress, so we didn't feel like we could, not that we didn't want to, but we didn't necessarily feel like we could help people that didn't also want to dress the way we like to dress,
didn't want to
right?
dress a little extra.
And it's fine to be niche, but that is just a little too niche. Yeah.
So we were just telling her like what to do next. We talked about this in other videos and in my blog posts, but I've always had this nagging feeling. For me, I think it's God trying to tell me that. Like, I'm not going to get religious here. I'm a Christian, so for me, that voice is God. I've just always had this voice nagging me, like, why aren't you doing music? Every time I go to a concert, I see people on stage, and part of me is like, I should be doing that. That's what I should be doing. Every time I've ever played on stage, that's where I feel the most comfortable in my own skin, right? So I kind of brought that up on the walk when we were talking about this nerd-life balance, and I was like, well, what about this? We had a day where we just like prayed all day, and
we just stopped everything we were doing.
We watched like a bunch of YouTube videos about like how to know what to do.
Well, we were just trying to figure out.
Yeah, well, like, is this like just us being arrogant and be like, I want to be a rock star, or is this like legit?
Am I the next American Idol?
Yeah, yeah.
Or I need to get a real job.
Yeah, we were trying like, is this legit, or is this just like some early midlife crisis happening to me kind of thing? It just felt like this overwhelming need to do music.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We returned our business course. We got a full refund, and it was enough to buy all of this, everything we needed to learn and write and record music. And we started that day learning how to set up a studio. We knew nothing. I knew how to write songs because I've done it in the past, but I think Bloom sounds pretty good, and I've only been mixing for a year. Like I mixed this whole thing, with help with Beth and Wade giving their feedback, but we started from zero knowledge. I want to make it very clear. We're 100% DIY.
100%.
We mix and master and write and record and do everything ourselves. Every video you see, we've shot and edited. Every graphic you see, I've done. Every social post, Beth's written. Like, we do everything. Besides the point, that's a little plug, or I guess a brag, but sorry about that. Just want to be clear, like, we put a lot of effort into this and a lot of time. And when it came time to do the album, we had these two singles out, being My Affliction and Never Getting In. And I didn't want to keep designing, so I was like, I don't want to keep designing single covers. That kind of spurred the moment of like, I want to get the album cover designed way before the album's even close to done, so we know what we're looking at design-wise and like feel-wise and whatnot. And Wade had brought up back when we wanted to name the band that he wanted to name it something to do with bloom or something, so we could do some kind of blossom, something floral, because he really liked floral graphics. So we were like, well, that's not our name, but what if our first album is called Bloom? And it kind of like represents this whole journey from quitting our jobs to now. We've bloomed as people so much in the last more in the last 2 years than I ever have in my entire life. Like,
definitely.
We've learned so much, gone through so much, like, had some awesome days, had some really down days, like everything. And then it kind of hit me. We were on another walk. Go for walks if you need ideas, by the way.
Definitely.
Great idea. We were talking about, okay, so something floral, and we're on a walk, and I was like, well, why don't we just reuse the design that we loved? These boxes are still two of my favorite things I've ever designed as a graphic artist, and they were just sitting on our shelves, not being used. And we were like, why don't we just literally take the box design and make it an album cover?
I mean, like, if you've read our blog post, we talk about how kind of out of our failed business came the opportunity to make music. Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily even just that we really like the design. I mean, we do. It's really beautiful. Yeah. But it was just a way to repurpose and reuse and
bring it full circle.
Yeah, and bring it full circle from Exodus that was failed, in our opinions failed. We were able to take our failure and turn it into a success, which is our first album. Yeah. And again, this is also in our blog post, but we'll touch on this, the most ironic part of all, and we had absolutely no idea when we named the band this, that the band Stands on Sapphires is actually out of a Bible verse which comes out of the book of Exodus. We had no idea that that was the case when we thought of the name until we were looking later and we figured out that it was out of the book of Exodus. So not even like metaphorically did this come from Exodus, literally it did come from Exodus. So it was like a 2-for-1. We just knew that we had to use Exodus design in our album.
Yeah, so I mean, you can call me a lazy graphic designer for literally ripping off the exact same design for my album. I don't care. I still did it once, so I repurpose it however the heck I want. Again, we loved it. Now every time I look at it, I remember this whole journey of the past 2 years, not just the album, but making the album, leaving our jobs, taking the biggest risk we ever took in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's been hard, but it's been great.
Absolutely.
You know, I think we've both been happier than we've been, and
yeah.
It's super fulfilling to learn this. Releasing an album is like on my top 5 bucket list items of all time. Definitely for me, this is a huge deal, and I can't wait to do more. That's it. That's why it looks like this, because of this. And this
Full circle.
And this happened because we took a risk, and this happened because we hated what this was, and yeah.
You can't have no gain without risk, right?
Yeah.
No success without failure.
Yeah, learn from your failures, and if you're afraid to fail, you'll never achieve anything. Failures are where you learn and where you grow. You need to fail to get to something you're really proud of.
I think the best quote I've heard on this to sum up the whole thing is that failure is not when you lose, failure is when you stop trying.
That's it.
Hope you enjoyed our story about our Bloom album art. If you haven't listened to it already, be sure to check it out on all of our streaming platforms. And you can also buy a digital or physical copy on our website. We'll have the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys.
Check it out. Bye.